When they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Good evening, and if you are just tuning in, you're either listening or watching United Public Radio Network, otherwise known as UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Hey, Robin, we already got somebody from the UK here. Welcome, glad to see you. I lost my train of thought here. I'll continue on. Sorry, guys. It's also known as UFO Paranormal Radio Network, or just UPRN. And you are watching or listening to The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. I am one of the co-hosts of the show, Lorilei Potvin. My amazing co-host is to the right of me, who I will introduce in just a second. But I guess we should tell you a little bit about me first. I'm a little bit off here. I was chatting and then I got distracted. Sorry, guys. I'm a host on the network, obviously, here, but I have my own show on Monday nights called The Angel Rock on Monday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and registered nurse. Just a few housekeeping things. I know we're going to repeat it. I should probably put the banner up because people will forget it. That happened Monday night like crazy. So if you've never been to StreamYard before and you're on Facebook, please head over to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give them permission, please, to use your picture and your name so we know who you are, because otherwise we end up with people see it says Facebook user. We have no idea who you are. Also, we are on Roku. I believe we're streaming tonight. I hope I remembered it. I book it on Mondays with my Angel Rock. I believe I booked us on Roku this evening. So obviously UPRN has a channel over there. We've got some great new hosts and some of our regular that have been around for a while hosts on the channel. And David and I are streaming there this month to give it a try. If you do have Roku, sign into your account. You're going to go to the channel store, look up UFO space P as in paranormal, and you're going to get a whole list. We're about the third or fourth down. You're looking for UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio, and you can watch our shows on TV there. I don't think I forgot anything. Dave, take it away. We got all kinds of people here. Hey, I'm just going to highlight you guys.
I'm glad you went a little longer, because while you were talking, I forgot to stream it to my YouTube channel and to my Facebook group.
Oh,
so
did you? Okay.
You were talking, so we
are on Roku. I thought I did it. I do it on Mondays now. I book our show on Mondays because I produce the shows, and I always do it on Mondays now, so it's done when I do the Angel Rock.
So I did. I forgot. I did it. I do it when I come on here. Well, anyway, you guys, my name is David Hanzel. I'm a spiritual medium. I do Reiki. I channel angels, channel guides, do those kind of readings, and that's it. Just a whole bunch of stuff. I won't go in too much of it. If you ever want to get hold of me, you go to my website, thewhispertome.com. I never ever DM people. Neither does Lorilei. You know where to find us. We'll tell you, and it's up to you to find us. Outside of that, I hope you are doing well. Lorilei has got a spooky BI something naughty word on her.
And my skulls. And it says, let's get spooky. Guess who made this shirt?
And we thought about what we were going to start out the show with. Much love to you too, Halfern Paranormal. Thank you so much. We wanted to talk. We were on the same page again.
We talk tonight.
Yeah, I didn't know really what we were gonna start off the show with, and then I asked Lorilei, and she started talking about something. I was like, "Holy cow!" I was just thinking about
every week this happens.
Every
time. I do not talk all week. We send each other goofy, silly stuff, and then we either touch base like Wednesday night or Thursday. And I was out getting groceries. And hi, Jane. We got a whole bunch of people here tonight. We got the Crystal Horror, Erica Miras, who says I've got yucky weather and my signals sucks. See, I did not forget you, Erica. I will never ever forget you. But anyways, back to the topic.
Well,
every week since we've started the show, right, Dave?
Yep, every week we get about the same thing. She had mentioned about zombies and such, and it was funny because the other day I go down the rabbit hole, especially with spooky stuff, because I want to know where it came from, what it is, what it's like, whatever. And I wanted to, I actually was, sounds strange. I wanted to go down the spiritual rabbit hole if zombies were real things. And not that they're not real things. I won't say it like that. But I'm like, well, would a zombie have a soul? And if you got bit by a zombie, does your soul go to heaven and just the body's animated and it's eating people and doing whatever zombies do? But Lorilei, as I was thinking about that, and this is a big but.
Okay. I have something to add to the zombies. So.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, we're gonna add a bunch about it. It says, like, if you go through the old definitions of where zombies came from, which is like, Haiti, and it came in with voodoo and hoodoo and all that stuff. But it mentions that the zombies have a soul.
They have a soul?
How interesting was that?
Well, they could. Well, hi, Sandra Sharp says, hi, David and Lorilei. Hi, Zach, man. Hi, Erica, because Zach felt bad. He said, what about me? And we didn't say hi. I said hi to Jane. Make sure we go back here. Shannon, who is our nurse with the paranormal crew, but she said, no, I'm not back at work yet, but we're glad to have you here, all of you. If you guys want to join in the chat, that's what I forgot. Head over to UFO Paranormal Radio, either the Facebook page or YouTube. You can also comment from David's Facebook page, YouTube page, and my YouTube page for sure. I know that because I just commented.
Yes. And Lorilei is rock, and mine is the spirit experience. But before you go on, let me read you something, because this is what caught my attention, you guys. You guys are listening. If you guys know anything about zombies, please jump in, because we want to talk about this and some other things. Or if you can't jump in, just kind of go, like that.
To highlight.
But it says, oh gosh, I lost it already. Where did it go? Zombie. It's got a zombie, which it's compared. Zombie is compared to the Congo word vumbi, V-U-M-B-I, which is described as a ghost, a revenant, or a corpse that still retains the soul. So I guess that's where they got me. So the body dies, but it still retains the soul. So I guess the soul would be in torment or whatever you would talk about, whatever you want.
Well, it depends what kind. Okay, so I won't quite say all the words here because we're on YouTube. But Zachman says, of course, zombies are real. We have one, we'll say, at the top in the U.S., according to Zach's opinion. I can't say anything because, like I said, we're going to be neutral here. But the thing is, why? And I have been asking this, why in the United States did the U.S. government, particularly your FEMA division in 2012, have a complete section on zombie preparedness? I have seen zombie preparedness actors, like crisis actors, playing out a 3-day scenario. They put in there that it was for entertainment purposes. It did not come out at Halloween, but we're not getting conspiracy tonight, guys. I'm just throwing it out there. Hi, Kelly Hopkins. Glad to have you here. So why did you do that? And it's gone now. It was up.
We have one in the White House. We have many in our White House, Zachman. Oh my God, our entire politics in the United States is a bunch of zombies. They just do whatever they do. But I think the people in our White House, in our government, are really quite safe from zombies. Not because I have bunkers or anything, but I'm pretty much under the impression that zombies eat brains, and I don't think our politicians really have any.
So they're going to go hungry. Well, we have the son of Satan running our country.
Yeah. Why did the zombies die? We unleashed the
but okay, so they're already dead. Like, and I guess you got to look at what you think a zombie is. Spirit's talking to Dave. He touched his ear. Erica said, LOL.
They know.
So, okay, because you brought it up before, like when we talked about the voice message back and forth. If you think about it, so let's just use The Walking Dead, because it's been out there. It's what everybody's looked at. You know, you can go into Z Nation. There's all kinds of them, right? But from what we've seen, in both of those shows, it's some kind of odd virus or bacteria that spread worldwide that infected the humans. At least I never really found out what the answer was from this series. I never read the comic books for The Walking Dead. But the thing is, right, they were human. So yeah, they had to die. So if you think about it, right, and we've talked about near-death experiences, I guess if you're leaving, is it kind of like a near-death experience that you don't really cut the silver cord to the soul? Like, you know, you're going to become a zombie, so you hang around in the zombie corpse? I don't know.
Oh, I know. You know what? She was right. They were chatting with me. So there's a couple things about zombies, and this I kind of knew, but they were reiterating something. Because I always said, if zombies were a real thing, the soul would leave because the body died, and the nervous system is the one that would react and do everything, because
that's what I would think. There's no soul,
because the soul would go. That's what they told me. They said that in a roundabout way, they said what you are perceiving as zombies will and can't happen, will and will not happen. But they have a although to this. There are diseases that can come up to give people that appearance and almost that rage type thing. People would be acting against their morals. It's like their morals, the soul might still be in the body, but the morals have gone away.
Have you ever seen Flocka or bath salts? People on there? I have never seen anything like that.
It's like that, but this would be like a permanent condition. Although what they tell me too is if the zombies did have a soul, then the zombies would have to die when you shot them, no matter where you shot them, because the soul would have to leave the body if the body dies. So
call it a body. Because I want to touch on, you can call it a body. I want to touch on what Howie said, much like the parasite that takes over a certain insect. Yes, and I have seen that with crickets, and there's a certain type of worm that hatches its eggs, I believe, in the shallow water, and it ends up from birds, you know, eating the eggs and whatever else, right? And they fly all over, and they're droppings, and then it hatches, and its whole total goal is to get inside of a cricket. And I have watched this, I have seen a documentary, and the cricket is still alive, but it has no control over anything. This little wormy thing inside of it controls it, gets it back to the water so that it can then, I guess, leave the cricket and start the circle of life again.
Yeah, what Howie said, I believe, and I'm just playing with this in my thoughts, guys. I am not serious about anything. As far as I am concerned, Dave, spiritually and everything else, we don't have anything to worry about for a zombie attack. On a mass scale, anyway. On a mass scale.
Michelle. Have a good day at work.
What he had said about, and what you said about the insect thing, that could be something that I believe could happen.
I've seen it.
And I know that they even portray it in like alien movies, which I wish they wouldn't, because whenever they make a bad alien movie, they always paint the aliens as bad guys every time. And I wish we wouldn't do that. But zombies, I think, could happen. I don't know.
Why would you spend your taxpayers' dollars, and you guys can't be the only ones. This is just the one I'm aware of. Okay, and I've had this conversation with Joe Montaldo, the owner of our network. I got to give him a shout out. He created this wonderful platform for us here for many years. By the way, guys, if you like what you're seeing, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about it, because there are new hosts on the network, all the time. We're growing, we're getting bigger, and there's something for everybody here. And we're pretty well live 7 days a week. But if we're not live, the archive server's going. So we have a lot of shows back in the day, because the network, I think, has been around about 24 years now, 25 years. Yeah. So we got some pretty good content up there. Hi, Leona. Nice to see you. Prediction of the future. Oh, sorry. Howie's saying, because I'm going to add to what I was saying. Prediction of the future. If and when it happens, it will start with a pig. Very strange, and escapes from a lab. Well, I don't know about that. We'll have to wait and see.
My whole thing is with the whole zombie thing is, one, okay, a lot of things would have to change for this so-called zombie.
You're not muted. Just want to stop you for a sec. I can hear you. Can everybody else hear Dave? Keep talking, Dave. Just make sure everybody can hear you, because I can hear you.
Erica, it might be your connection in North Carolina because of the weather. The only thing that escapes me from the whole zombie thing is so much would have to change, even on the scientific level. Because if somebody became a zombie, and if a zombie ate human beings and animals and all that, he wouldn't be cooking them, he'd be eating them raw. People and animals carry lots of diseases. So that zombie would have to be immune from disease as well, all disease. So much would have to change in order for a zombie to be here. I think that, like what you said, especially for America, and I'm sorry, guys, but I'm going to have to blow the cover on America. They tend to stoke fear, and they will do anything they can to stoke fear because of the fact.
But I wasn't done what I was going to say, though. I even had this conversation with Joe. And Joe's been he has a political show, he does the Centralist Friday nights. He has worked with the military before, what have you. So we were having, I think I was on the Centralist one night, because usually the boys are there, but once in a while I used to join them for a panel discussion. And I said to him, everything else that they had preparedness for, and I'm not trying to stoke fear. I'm just.
Oh, I know that. I know.
Everything, but for people listening. So everything else, yes, you could see it happening, like emergency preparedness, hurricane, flood, tornado, you name it, right? And zombie preparedness, I'm going, why are they doing this? Because they're not real. Like it's not real. And he didn't have much of an answer for me either, except that, yeah, I guess it could induce fear. But I always believe that talking about topics like this, right, it gives us pause for thought, pause for everybody hearing. If this resonates with you, take a look for yourself, because that's no longer up there, by the way. I just recently looked for it. It was up there last year. Yeah. It was put up in 2012. It is no longer exists on your website that I can find in the U.S. Government website where it used to be. But the thing is, I said, well, why would they do that?
Because it's for me, this is the way I think about it, and I could be wrong. I'm just telling you how I am rationalizing it in my head. Mm-hmm. One, it's good for the prepper business, man. It is so good for preppers. Mm-hmm. Preppers who they go out and I have a guy I worked with literally who would come through the line in the middle of the day on his break to buy these gigantic bags of rice and all this stuff. And one day I asked him, I'm like, how many people do you have in your family, dude? And he says, don't tell anybody about my prepper. I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Prep away. But I didn't say anything else. But I thought, there's a lot of money in that. If you can stoke people into fear going, there's going to be an apocalypse and there's going to be zombies, you're going to go out and buy stuff. And
yeah, but apocalypse means revealing which was once hidden. So you hear people running around right now over the last 3 years. It's the apocalypse. It's the apocalypse. Yes, we've had a shift. We've had a change. But
I'm talking end of the worldy type thing is what they're talking about.
No, but that's what people are saying. Have you not seen that over the last 3 years? Everywhere I've
talked yeah, that's what all the preppers are there. And then they're all wanting other guns because they're going to shoot. Seriously, if that was going to happen in this world, I am more than happy to leave here. I don't want to live through it. I don't want to be with all you crazies who go, I have to stay alive. What are you so afraid of? But, it's like.
But, okay, so getting back to flaca or bath salts. I have seen people on these, like, what is in there? Like, I have seen little 5 foot, 90-pound soaking wet women taking 10 police officers to try and hold them down. Yeah. And they always have this black coming out, black usually not leaking from their eyes. You just get very dark circles and really ghostly white. And then I have seen some like men with superhuman strength and running, like Dave and I will remember the Bionic Man, probably Howie will, maybe Jane, a few of us. Some of you that are young, you youngsters may not remember it, but like just running at not even human speed. Plus, then lately, speaking of zombies, no, I'm not saying these people are zombies. They're not. I think they're mentally ill personally, but there's been stories of people attacking some like homeless people. I've heard 2 or 3 stories of this over the last couple of years, and trying to eat somebody. Like what is going on with you?
Meth and fentanyl mixture, I guess. I don't know. I believe the zombie apocalypse, if it was going to happen, it's going to be caused by drugs.
Oh, that would make sense.
It's going to be caused by drugs, and that's what it's going to be if it was. But for me, I'm talking about this more for fun because I don't have any belief in reanimating a body, although that I know science probably can, and I know that our DNA's been changed over. That's a whole other subject with other races coming here and everything. So. So I mean, I always say there's a little something to everything. As if we can think it and we can imagine it, then there's something behind it.
You got a couple of jokes here. Zach said, "The zombie apocalypse is on the horizon. Time to stockpile the toilet paper again." Zach, you just let everybody know now. There's not going to be any.
Any toilet paper, Zach. Thank you.
And then Sandra said, I dated a guy in the 80s who tried to convince me that he had a bionic leg.
I dated somebody in the 80s who said they were bionic too, but they weren't talking about their legs and they weren't bionic.
We were going to say something like that. Yeah. We just thought we'd get into some of this unusual topics because, you know, you're getting TV shows out there. For a while there was the vampire craze. Now, okay, I didn't even ask you about this. So what's your thoughts about vampires? Because I know there are vampire communities. And again, I need to go back to Joe. We are broadcasting from New Orleans, Louisiana. Wait, just hang on, Dave.
Like,
what?
For me, this is how I distinguish them. Kind of like
I wasn't done, but okay.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
All I was going to add was that Joe broadcasting out of his house in New Orleans, and he's in the French Quarter and the whole bit. He says there is a restaurant down there. I wish to God Jane might be able to tell us. Jane's in New Orleans, I think, that it's been there for a long, long time, like many owners, but the owner never seems to age. And he'll change with the times. There's pictures up on the wall, he says. And the rumor is he's a vampire. I do know there are vampire communities. I can tell you that for sure. But not like Twilight or Bram Stoker. But yes, there are people
like zombie movies. I love zombie movies. They're fun. They're fun to watch. I take them with a grain of salt. I mean, could something come out of something like that? Yeah, I'm sure there's some kind of version of something out there. Same for vampires. Now, I know there's vampire communities, and I know there are people who do these things. I actually did a little research on that a long time ago, and they're basically people. They weren't evil people or anything else. They are different from the movies. It's kind of like whenever somebody talks about a witch in a movie, the witch is always mean, it's ugly, and it's always doing something bad to people.
Unless you're Glinda.
Yeah, and Glenda, which is like a totally made. I would not want to be that kind of witch. That would just be annoying. But I think there's a little truth to everything, because even like Frankenstein putting body parts together, we've sewn body parts on other people before, so we've come very close to Frankenstein. Creature from the Black Lagoon. I know that we've got some water elementals that probably don't look like the creature from the Black Lagoon, but they're associated with the creature that lives in the water and is more human-like than.
We've got some really strange captures on video of stuff in the water. Now, what about this? Okay, I've always had this thing with sharks. Like, I'm terrified I don't want to get eaten by one. I probably was eaten by one in a previous life or something. I love to watch them from afar. I love watching shark documentaries, but it's the megalodon. Hi, Faye, welcome. And this thing is like 70 feet in length. They think it's back to the prehistoric times. They've been tracking this thing, and it was caught on Google Earth. Like
they debunked that one already, but but even though they debunked it, do you want to know what? I'm not going to throw out any ideas to be crazy, Dave, but I have to throw this out there.
I think it is true.
Oceans are so unexplored. What's down there? We have no clue. There could be a megalodon down there. I don't think it would come to the surface. It probably might, if it was prehistoric that lived down there all this time, and there'd have to be more than one, obviously, in order for there to be two. And one would go away. But werewolves, Bigfoots, etc. Yeah, we'll talk about that too, Lori.
Absolutely, Lori. Yeah, thanks for asking. And you guys feel free to ask questions if you got questions you want us to talk about stuff.
Lorilei and I like to go all over the place. We don't mind. We're just like your crazy taxi drivers. So
we have these conversations when we're not on a show.
But I believe that there are things like vampires and all that. I believe that there is a part of it. I know there's an actual, I don't want to call it a disease, a defect where there are people who can't go out in the sunlight. And
I know people with that too. It's rare.
Yeah, so it is rare. They have that, and then there are people who do consume blood, and for some it's a kink. For some, they really believe. Who am I to tell anybody not to be something? As long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't really care what you believe. You can believe you're a vampire and jump out a window and fly if you feel like it. I mean, I don't think you're going to get very far, but there's no way that I can say anything bad about anybody like that. I'm sure they exist. Werewolf.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
All I was going to say is I do know somebody that identified as being a vampire. They had me interview them years ago. I don't even know if it's still up on YouTube. And I had never asked them. They were a friend of mine, and I just thought if they wanted to let me know more about it, they would. And so I asked them, and they did say exactly what you said, Dave, that it's nothing like what the movies are or anything like that, and why they identified with this culture and what have you. So, the way I say I see it, it doesn't matter what it is. I think if it's persisted throughout time, after century after century after century, there had to have been some truth to it, or some version. But it's almost like that game of telephone where you got 50 people in a room, and you start with one person whispering a word into the next person's ear, and by the time it gets all the way around, it's not even close to the word that you whispered. But there had to be something to it, I think, because otherwise it would have just died out. People wouldn't talk about it anymore, especially with TV and movies, right? So there had to be something.
I totally agree with you. I so wholeheartedly agree with you, because it's even like the same thing whenever somebody tells you, says something about you, like, "Hi, your hair's ugly." "Oh, I'm just kidding." No, you're not. There's a little truth to every kid, and just like there's all of the legends and folklore we have had to come from something, and I think. And it's almost like religion, the Bible. I think it's all a game of telephone. I think it all started with a game of telephone. So I believe there is a little truth to everything.
Okay, so even with werewolves, from my research back almost before the beginning of time, there was apparently a dog race on this planet. From what I've done, they didn't speak with words, but they stood upright. And then you start getting now into dog men, more and more people. Now, is it a tulpa that more and more people believe in it, or they believe that I wasn't back in that time as far as I know, so I can't verify.
Maybe it's turned into that. Maybe it's turned into that now, more of a tulpa thing, because there was, I believe that I have heard, and anybody in the audience who's listening in the comment section, that there were an alien race that were more canine.
And you're right, Dave. I forgot they were believed to be alien, but they were here. Just like there was a cat race too.
And if they were here and somebody saw that, that may have started the whole werewolf thing, or that may have started the whole dogman thing. I don't know. I'm just guessing. You know, I have not done enough research to know that answer to say it for sure. But hey, a lot of stuff does come from it. Even like Slender Man. When I was talking about Slender Man, I did not know that Slender Man was something that was produced in Creepypasta in 2009.
Yeah.
In 2009, and for some reason I thought it went way back, but I was thinking of Dark Man, and I was thinking of the Shadow Man, which is different than Slender Man. But yeah, it's weird how we have all that. I think because of 2009, more people saying that they saw Slender Man, that I believe is a result of a tulpa.
Well, yeah. So for people that don't know what a tulpa is, it's basically like Dave said. Yeah, Slender Man was started on a creepypasta, and people started reading it and believing it. Some people, they started to talk about it. Some people got romanticized ideas about it. I know I read about that, little chat groups about it. Then people were drawing it, and then somebody said they saw one, and then more and more people said they started seeing them. So believe it or not, because everything's energy, and our words, our thoughts, and our emotions are so powerful that when you have a collective idea around something, doesn't matter what it is, real or make believe, but especially make believe, you can, the energy can actually manifest into, I'm not saying, you know, flesh and blood, but we're seeing pictures and hearing stories more and more about people running into Slender Man, right?
Oh yeah, Slender Man, the Rake. The Rake was another one. There's that was made. The Rake also came from creepypasta. And the funny thing about that, though, the definition of rake, what a rake was way back in whenever, I don't know the exact year. A rake was like a dude like who was always inebriated and treated women like crap and was just an all in all person.
I never heard that, because I have seen video that I gotta say, I don't know what the heck of it. And I've seen enough of them, like not every second video, but I have seen enough of them that whatever the heck this thing is, it is creepy. It usually clicks. Like,
oh yeah.
And then sometimes it'll scream, and it's usually like under bridges and in woods. A couple of them have been caught. Seems in South America, mostly on top of people's roofs.
Yeah.
Like, that thing is creepy. Ugh, I wouldn't run into that thing, I'll tell you.
You know what I think sometimes, Lorilei, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, or your opinion, but a lot of the stuff we see, I think our language gets in the way, because even like what people consider an angel, everybody considers an angel to look all different ways. Everybody considers ghosts to all look different ways. Everybody considered demons to all look like a certain way, where I've saw demons that resembled small children who look perfectly lovely. And not saying that they were demon in our term, but they were definitely not of a good energy to hang out with.
I am always suspect of child spirits, especially if they really shouldn't be in the place where you run into them.
Yeah. And I think that's how we get our perceptions. We call something by a label, but we have to. We're human beings. That's why I always tell people, when you're looking for your guide, go ahead and give them a name, because it's easier for you then, because we relate by labels. So I wondered, like with rake, like what you were saying before, to get back to that, I agree with you. There's a lot of creepy stuff out there, and people call it a rake. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'll refer to it as a rake if that's what they're calling it. I don't know what an actual rake was supposed to be. I believe the chupacabra is absolutely real, and I believe the chupacabra is here, and it is basically a pet of another. It's an animal from another place.
Well, with a rake, what I have seen, what has been referred to as a rake, and I would say it's a rake, it's completely hairless. It's naked. It's usually anywhere from about 7 to 9.5 feet tall. It's got big black eyes, big mouth. Sometimes it's got some teeth. It's got rake-like type. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Ugh. It's got long, creepy finger. I have seen these things. I'm not myself, thank God, just on video. Could people fake them? Some, yeah, but these people need to be Oscar award-winning actors, some of these people, when they run into it, because I am telling you, there are more and more people catching these things. And it's been and it seems to be showing up in different locations around the world. Like, it's not just in one, you know, like the New Jersey Devil or Mothman or something like that. Like, it is in different locations all over, and they've been caught on video, they've been caught on camera, and they usually have a really long, thin, some of them I've seen with longer, thinner type head. I guess I can't say that. I was going to say, well, I've never seen them hurt a human. I've seen them chase a human. But then I thought, if they got the human and hurt them, maybe the video would never be found. So maybe they have. I don't know.
It wouldn't be. It's really hard to say with all these things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think the best videos, any video that I see that was pre-millennial, nothing wrong with millennials. I'm not saying that. I'm saying pre-millennial, when, like, before we had the tech, because some of the young kids today, literally, they were born and then they went to preschool and they handed them a computer. So people, the kids nowadays, they are so intelligent. We do not give them enough credit. They can run circles around computers and stuff like that. So it's harder to say whatever's out there. You know, you no longer have to go to art school for 3,000 years to create something perfect. These kids are just doing it. So when I look for evidence, I always try to find old evidence that's very difficult to debunk.
Well, I think Jane's been helping with this, because she's been mentioning about Art Bell and a lot of the conversations he's having. And I agree that there can be deep fakes, but where I guess I'm referring to, and it's not the be all to the end all, but I have a lot of respect for Nuke's top 5. And the reason why I do is because people send in video clips. And I will tell you, I have seen that man debunk a video that's been sent in. I've also seen him send in things that says humans are scarier than spirits. But I also appreciate the fact that he never says to anybody, this is what this is. He just says, is it all an elaborate hoax? You decide. Now, I will tell you one story he carried on there that I have found out to be fake. And it was on TikTok. And this guy was a video editing wizard. And anybody that watches Nuke's Top 5 will have seen this. It was about this guy and his I think it was his daughter or his niece, Maria. She was about 8 years old. And I guess the niece disappeared and his daughter was there, and you'd hear his daughter laughing, and she's sitting there like she's asleep in front of a cabinet, and these hands come out, go to grab her, and there's no cut that you can see in the video. There's nothing there. Like, there were so many creepy, awful things. Like, people were talking about this story about 6 months ago everywhere. We found out it was a fake, and he admitted it was a fake. Like, he was the one that debunked it for himself. He said it was a story I was telling. I'm a video editor. And I have respect for him because it was very well done, with the fact that he came out with the truth. You know what? Yeah. We're going to do that. Hi, Manuel. Thank you. Levin Lady says. So
this is going back years ago. Mm-hmm. A little younger. Some of these things I saw with my naked eye in the dark that had form and shape were awfully real. And I wish I would have had a camera back then, but I don't even know to show up. And that's why a lot of times I won't always say something's not real, because I have seen things that were disturbing. But on the other side, I have to tell you this, just because I saw something that was disturbing doesn't mean it was disturbing. It scared me. It might not have had any intention to scare me, but I have seen, I mean, except for the one closet shadow dude, that one was a jerk. He was a jerk.
And the other people I have respect for, and I've talked about them before, it's called Paranormal Nightmare. It's a 3 Foreman brothers, Rocky and Josh and Sean. And they had a very severe paranormal experience as small children. And they've gone for years residentially to help people, or to document what's out there. I don't think they fake it. If they don't get anything, they don't get anything. It's not like they're going to show you that. They don't. Yeah. Well, Sean kind of overreacts, the middle guy. He's the biggest of the three. I think he's the middle guy. I know why, though, because he's the one that have had the most terrible experiences. But they went to a sanatorium in the States. It's on their YouTube channel. I watched it the other night. Now, they caught something on camera. It was pretty good, I'd say, capture. It looks like it's a kid peering around the corner. So it's nothing creepy, ooky spooky, but they did capture stuff. So, and
it appeared to be, yeah, it appeared to be a kid. Sometimes what I really wish is that we could literally look into these so hard that we could actually know, was it a kid or is it something that appeared as a kid? Or
did you see the picture?
I saw the things, because I never know, because I mean, there's so many different things that I've learned just from my death experience about the manipulation, not by us, but the manipulation of how we perceive height and depth and weight and everything else. I did see that one, but that one really did look like a kid. It really did. But I would love to have just like stepped out and just waved and said, "Hi, I'm Timmy." I would have been, yay! That is so awesome.
They didn't want that kid to come back, because I watched the live, because they usually do a live before they put the filming out. They didn't want that kid to come back. Like, they were like, no, I don't want to see him again.
I can tell you this, though. In all honesty, I couldn't have said this years ago, but I can say this now. If I was investigating something and there was something there, I would not run from it. I would really want to know what it is. I am the first to die in every horror movie. I am. I would be the first to die in every horror movie, because my
you know what? They don't say they have mediumship or psychic abilities too, which I gotta appreciate. They don't, right? Like, they're just there to document what they experience. And the reason why I have a lot of respect for them, I'll tell you what we went through in our house. I wish I could. Well, I didn't know you really well back then either, but I know way more people now if I was ever going through something like that again. But you know, I would have called those guys to come to my house. Like, I wasn't lying. There was other people. And I'm not saying you're saying I'm lying or anybody else is. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these guys, they have a lot of empathy for the families. They do aftercare afterwards, which I think people should do when we help people with the paranormal. Like, they have a lot of empathy for people going through this. And that's why I respect what they're doing. Like, before they go at their own expense. I'm sure they get supported now with Patreon and as big as they are, but they've been doing this for, I think they said 12 years. They drive all over the US. They're coming to Canada, they said in their last episode soon. So
I like how the paranormal community will stick together, because there's a paranormal, I can't remember their name. And even if I did it, it wouldn't be right for me to say it, but they were advertising that they could come to your house and they would investigate your house for you, everything, and then get rid of what's ever in there. And, you know, they were charging people. No. If it's, I tell you, from somebody in the spiritual business, and Lorilei does this too. Today, for instance, an old friend of mine, somebody wrote to me and asked me a question about paranormal stuff because there is a problem. I did not, and they said, "Oh, should I book an appointment and I'll be happy to pay you?" I'm like, "No, absolutely not."
I have it on my website, paranormal.
Yeah, there's a child involved. Absolutely not. And I got my stuff and gave it to them, and it was validated by them, and they said, "Yay, cool," and they were happy. So, I mean, but that's what you're supposed to do. But anyway, this group, I guess, they got a hold of them. They're no longer on Facebook. People were turning them in left and right. I think that stuff like that is awful to do.
Like, I could see covering somebody's travel expenses.
Yeah, travel expenses. Yeah.
Yeah, but these guys go at their own expense. Like, these guys get in the car. There's 3 of them. They take, like I said, and what I like is they have a lot of empathy for families. They don't go in there to stir stuff up. They treat the spirits with respect. Like I said, you can't ask for much more, because I seen another episode of somebody younger. He's got a lot to learn. I think he doesn't fake stuff. He claims he doesn't. I've seen him do investigations, notorious locations where he's got nothing. But I had a real problem where he went to this one house recently. I won't call him out because I think he's young. And I think we always need people that are behind us, you know, to carry on the legacy, if you will, of paranormal. But what he did was, this kid is really having a lot of issues. I think he has an attachment of some sort. It's on YouTube. You can see it. But they went in there, and I kept thinking, like, what the heck are you guys going to do? You're in there stirring stuff up, inviting stuff to come in. And then you go, sorry, dude, this is way beyond our capabilities. We can't help you. But they've never helped anybody get rid of anything. They only go in there to document stuff. And I kept thinking, you guys have no business even being here.
Yeah.
And they just stirred everything up way worse. This guy's on TikTok too of what he's going through. He's in New Jersey. And I wasn't trying to be judgmental, but I think if we're going to, like you said, Dave, you know, and I know from personal experience, when you're in that situation, you really need help. And usually if you're dealing with something dark, what happens is it doesn't just affect whatever people think that you can control when you're, and it's not often that this happens. I'm not saying it happens all the time, okay, with what we went through. But I've met people like myself, like it affects your health, it affects your finances, it affects everything. So
yeah, and I agree with you. For these groups to come in, and I mean, we're not bashing paranormal groups. We're bashing the bad ones. The ones who go into these houses, and like you said, and they tape themselves stirring it up, and then they leave the family.
Nice,
Susan. And those guys, and like you said, a lot of these people and these people calling, they're not like me or Lorilei or spiritual people where they've had years and years that we've had this behind us, so stuff doesn't scare us like this, really. And to these people, this is a brand new, scary experience. They stir something up and then they leave. And that poor family is sitting there, and like you said, they don't realize it affects them. Whether there's something in that house or not, it's going to affect them because they've been told something, and and they, money, their jobs, their kids crying, and all this other stuff. I love Susan Long says, "I'm used to ghosts." I know, right? I think if we got that out to more people to like welcome ghosts instead of trying to be,
I did not have positive spirits at my house. I can tell you that right now. I did not. But you're right. Not every earthbound spirit is a negative entity. And Dave sent me a really funny meme before. What did it say, Dave? Just before we went live. And I thought, yeah, everybody would want one like this.
Dear ghost, if you can make noises and flicker lights, you can use a mop. And it's like, yeah, I know. It is true. Manuel Lopez says raise frequencies to avoid negative energy. Right. Absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct.
And that's the only thing that helped us years ago was understanding frequency and energy.
Now, to those who don't understand what that means, who might be watching, and that's okay.
Or listening.
A lot of big words we use in spirituality that, but raising your frequency or something, it's pretty much, if you can put joy back in your heart, just be happy about something, just be in that moment where like everything's cool, that's raising your vibration. It's literally taking you from going like this to going like this.
What I always say to people is we all have a movie that we've watched time and time again that makes us break out laughing every time we see it. Stick it on. Open your windows, bring in some fresh air, bring some nature inside if you can't get outside. Grounding, so important. If you're not sure what it is, it's going to sound like we're hippies, but we're not. Go out and hug a tree. Take your shoes and socks off. Get your feet in the earth. Get some sunshine in. Have some friends over. If you got stale air in your room, you don't have to have anybody come in and do whatever. You can just clap your hands to get things moving around. Like there's lots of things. Because I used to hear all the time, you need to raise your vibration. I used to say, what the heck is that? You already knew what it was.
Stand there and shake really fast. You know what? I don't get it. Yeah. Raising your vibration is basically a positive mood adjustment. But
okay, we got to tell Facebook user that says yes. Hi, I'm watching from the UK. Facebook user, we've got a streaming across the bottom. We would love to know who you are. So if you don't mind, if you could head to streamyard.com/Facebook, you just have to click yes for them to use your picture and your name, and then we will know who you are. And welcome from the UK.
Yes.
Happy to have you. So somebody asked also about Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah.
First date?
I personally, I mean, I have I have never saw a Bigfoot with my physical eyes, although I want to one day, and I know I will one day. I have 100% belief in them. Spiritually, I've talked to that energy. I've gotten a lot about it. I agree with the premise that Bigfoot is not right now anyway, is not an inhabitant here as much as it is something that goes in and out of portals, or I guess between dimensions. Most of the aliens, or most of the extraterrestrials people are claiming, aren't coming from the sky. They're coming through dimensions. And I think that I think that multidimensional being. Thank you, Leah. They are a multidimensional being, which means they can travel between the dimensions. And I think that's what they do. And that's, I believe, and it's not a cop out, but I believe that's why we don't find the bodies.
I have no idea who this is, David, but they said you're looking well, David Hanzel, medium.
Well, thank you.
Like I said, if you can at least let us know who you are, if you're open to that, or like I said, if you go to streamer.com/Facebook, it's streaming across the bottom of the screen, then we will know who you are. Bigfoot in, I'm not sure what you mean, Manuel, in 4THD. Do you mean in 4D? Is that what you're talking about?
Fourth dimension.
Oh, fourth dimension.
Yeah, I believe he is a fourth. I believe is that they might be higher than that, but I think for the purposes of them being here, I think they are fourth dimensional beings, because if they might be fifth dimensional.
I think they're fifth.
Yeah, the reason I'm going to say they're fifth dimensional is because in fifth dimensional beings can appear to have physicality to it when it needs to. Because fifth dimension is pretty much leaving the physical body behind. So, but in fifth dimension, you can visit the fourth. And in fourth dimension, you can visit the third. So there are people on this earth right now who are just in the third dimension. Some animals are still in two dimension. A lot of insects are. A lot of us have went up to the fourth dimension, which those are the people who our abilities are coming out, the knowingness, all this other stuff. That's fourth dimensional thing. The next would be fifth dimensional. And not to, sorry, I went off on a tangent. I think that Bigfoot is, I agree with Lorilei. That is my answer. I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so for me, I've mentioned this many times in Canada here. I'm about 6.5 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm in Thunder Bay, right on the shores of Lake Superior. There's 5 Great Lakes in North America. It's one of the largest and ice cold. We have crazy activity here. And I said I wasn't going to mention it on one show, but I'm going to mention it tonight. I'm hearing Spirit saying to mention it. So I've talked to many people with the haunting that we went through many years ago. And I have run into people. We have a very powerful First Nations history in this area. We have the sleeping giant, looks like a sleeping giant. It's about 5-10 minutes away from my house out in the marina. There's a legend around it called the Legend of Gitchagumi, or the Legend of just came to me, thank you, Spirit, Nanabiju. And there's the world's largest silver mine there, and there's a whole legend around it that it can never, anybody that tries to access it, they say it is cursed. We've talked about curses before, but I will tell you, anybody that has tried to access that mine has died. It's underwater.
Because they're leaving. Yeah, because, well, I guess if you want to, you can use the word cursed on that one, because I'm sure people have placed a lot of protection.
It's from First Nation, but I was just going to add, though, on the south side of the city, sort of a little bit more rurally, we have Kekabeka Falls, which is known as a Little Niagara of the North. And again, it is all steeped in First Nations legend and lore. There's quite a story around it. But I know that our area, I get some strange paranormal stories. If Shannon's still here, she can vouch for me. The other thing is we get a lot of UFO type stuff. Also, Bigfoot. That's where I was going with this. Yeah. Tons of Bigfoot, little people, which is a strong story within the First Nations people. I did not know that till a few years ago, but yep. And they're not the Fae, because I asked a lot of questions. I wanted to know, are you talking about, fairy folk or elementals? And nope, some of them apparently may be good, but a lot of them apparently aren't so good. Like you never whistle in the woods, depending on, you know, what, there's Ojibwe mostly around here for First Nations tribe, but there's Cree and there's a few other First Nations tribes around here. So depending on their legend and lore. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry, I know you want to say something.
No, I was listening to it. I was thinking about when people first see stuff like,
oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Trowbridge Falls. There you go.
Oh, that is notorious. You can go on all kinds of things. Trowbridge Falls, there are crazy stuff. Thank you, Jen.
Where is Trowbridge Falls? Let's give them a shout out.
Well, it's in Thunder Bay. It's on my side of the city, on the north side of the city. It's a little bit rural, not too far. And yeah, I don't know what it is with it. It's a body of water. Obviously, there's some mild falls, and then on top of it, like we've got Wimet Canyon. It's not the Grand Canyon, but it's pretty deep, and like we've got a lot of stuff here. Anyways, what I was going to add quickly, and I forgot, I got off track. When I was looking for help years ago locally, I spoke to a couple shaman that were here. I was actually a female shaman, and she was a real deal. She could tell me what was going on outside, and I wasn't on video or anything with her. Like she picked up a lot of stuff, and she had said our marina, right where you can see the sleeping giant, has really been overdeveloped and dug up, and there was a lot of pain. And they were saying that Mother Earth was very disturbed about this. And the way she didn't use the word portal, but it sounded like there had been a lot of portals opened by this activity, and they were working, but they needed a large body of, she said, shamans and spiritual type people within their culture to close what had been opened. Those were her words, not mine.
Oh no, I agree with that because I study shamanism, and there's a lot of stuff like that goes on. I shouldn't say study shamanism. I'm involved in shamanism, but yeah, there are. I have heard of medicine people who went and closed portals.
That's what she was talking about. Yeah, because I didn't know what she was talking about at first, and I'd studied some First Nations culture. I've just very recently found out I have a lot more First Nations blood than I realized I do. Like, yeah, have Métis, like half Native, half whatever. I did not know that, but my son has done some historical digging into my mother's family line, and there's a lot more than what we thought.
Now, I don't know how these portals get open, but I do know, I mean, I don't know the circumstances around it. I don't even know.
It wasn't conjured. The way she was saying it was opened was the earth had been so disturbed. Like it's really been built up around our marina. I
don't think they're conjured either. I think it comes from the disturbances in the dimensions, the everything. I mean, I've said this on our shows before. We are literally passing through dimensions every couple seconds. We're always passing through dimensions, always, always, always. They're our own. So I think if certain things come up, it could be opened. I'm sure that there are dimensions where there are less than wonderful people there who come over to here.
That's so weird. Like, and I get really weird stuff. Like people will contact me like I've never seen like some good. And I know Dave's a skeptic, and you should be a skeptic, but I am telling you, I have seen, I'm going to highlight in just a sec, Leah. That's a great question. I had somebody contact me. It was a friend of one of my eldest sons. It was her mom, and we were on each other's Facebook thing, but she never messaged me. This was a couple summers ago. It's actually my first TikTok video I made. And she contacted me because her 70-something-year-old neighbor could smell something burning. They were living in an apartment building. She told me afterwards all kinds of strange stuff was going on there, like things like lighters levitating and, you know, like all kinds of crazy stuff. But anyways, this story, I guess she said he could smell something burning, and he was looking all over. He lived alone. And I guess for lack of trying to find out where this was, he opened his fridge and his eggs were on fire. I kid you not. Like you could see where the eggs had, I think I showed it to you before, and there was no electrical current thing because David asked me that. No electrical problem. You could see where the eggs had burnt. Like I think you had about 5 eggs in the carton. They made indents into the fridge. And I asked her, well, what did, because at first I couldn't understand what she was telling me. I'm going, what do you mean his eggs were on fire? And she said he just threw them out the window. Like she said he was practically in shock because he said in his, I think he was like 75. He goes, in my 75 years, I have never seen something so crazy as this.
Yeah, that is odd, and that is unexplainable. I mean, I can't. And I know what you're talking about. I have seen not similar things, like not eggs, but stuff like that has happened. Even like look at remember human combustion?
Oh, I was so terrified of that when I was little. There were some movies. Remember, there used to be on TV when we were little, Dave. Do you remember that? Like Believe It or Not or something?
Oh, yeah, they used to
Oh
show.
my God. I used to have nightmares about that.
Yep. Shannon says, with the cost of eggs, I would be angry if my eggs caught on
I
fire.
agree.
Right? I know. But yeah, the human combustion, and that was a real thing. I mean, they. I don't know. They said they know how it happens, and I did some research on it. But
So did I, but it wasn't a sufficient answer for me.
yeah, you don't see it anymore. And I thought maybe those eggs were eggy combustion. Maybe there's.
You are right. Isn't that, once again, Dave and I thinking of the same things, because I was too. I was going like, why do we never see that? Like, that was really traumatic. I remember as a kid.
Yeah.
I had something about fire because I remember there was a little boy I knew when I was about 4 or 5, and he had Down syndrome, and we had lived in our old house, and then we moved to a newer development. And this kid moved there. Anyways, long story short, it was very tragic. They had a house fire, and he died, and all the kids in the family died. And I'd known him like when I was about 4 or 5, and this happened when I was about 7 or 8. I swear to God, I stayed awake all night long for a week after that. I was so terrified our house was going to light on fire. And then the same thing with the, spontaneous combustion. I saw it on TV. I was like laying awake, like I was going to stop it.
I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then a movie just came out not long ago, or like teenagers in high school were blowing up, and I thought that was just hilarious. But not them blowing up. It was a comedy. Leah had asked a question, and I need to tell you a quick story because this is going to help with the answer.
Okay, let's read. You want to read her question?
Yeah. So the question is, are ghosts we see sometimes others in other dimensions? Before I answer that, one of the strangest gifts, I guess you could say, that I received after my near death that I didn't know I had, or even what it is. It came about this job I had gotten, and during the day I had like an hour lunch in the beginning. And I would go sit in my car and just sit there in the summer. And one time I looked over to my left, and I could swore I saw people walking in period clothing, and I could see the buildings. And I was like, it was very faint, and I would catch it, and it would kind of sizzle away. And then that continued to happen. And then I was driving down the road. I can't remember where I was going. I was on my way, I think, down to the beach. And as I was driving, there was this big cloud formation in front of me, and I could see the outline of this, like this huge city in this building. And I started going places and seeing these outlines. And the store, I did confirm that there was a small city where that store is now. Back in like the 1800s, it was on that land. It's all been torn down. It's like old. But so I wasn't seeing ghosts, but I was seeing residual energy of that. So and that's what I see in the sky sometimes. I don't know if it's there or what. I see it. It's like plain as day. But I think it's an energy. And I think sometimes maybe some ghosts are other dimensions. I do realize that there's a dimension that's just like ours that perceive us as ghosts. So in their world, we're the ghosts, I guess is how they say it. The other side is the same way. The other side, if you're just like in an earth type place on the other side, like after you've left here, you would tend to come across us every once in a while as ghosts. They would see us as ghosts, not as a real thing, but as a ghost. So I think some ghosts could be other dimensional beings. I don't know for sure, but I think so. What do you think, Lorilei?
I'm going to answer it differently. So our ghosts, we see sometimes others in other dimensions. I'm going to say yes. And then residual energy can present as a ghost. So David, what he was seeing, I knew he was going to say residual energy the way he was describing it. Yeah. But are all ghosts from other dimensions? That I will say no. But I tend to think, I guess depending on how clairvoyant you are, but I also feel like anybody that's earthbound, I think it decides whether we can see it or not. It decides whether we can hear it or not. Plus, I think well, there is no time and space on the other side. But I think that once we learn how to master energy, say if we do choose to stay earthbound rather than going, as I'd call it, back home, because it seems like, I don't know, depending on who you run into, and maybe it's just who they were in life, I guess, because, you know, if somebody wasn't that nice in lifetime, for example, they're not going to be that nice in the afterlife. They're a nice person in that life. I don't know how many well, I shouldn't say that. There are some people I've run into that are in spirit, that are earthbound, that were very nice, kind people in real life, but have chosen to stay for
A
reason as earthbound. So I'm going to say potentially, yes, we could see some ghosts. I hadn't heard what Dave said. I would never say that doesn't exist because I don't know everything. So, and I
don't know everything, but I'm assuming that we might perceive another dimension as a ghost. If we saw it somehow for some reason, we might perceive it at that.
I've had people say to me, numerous people in the paranormal world, that when they walk into an investigation, and I have a friend that wrote an article, I was looking for people, it was a couple of years ago, and she wrote about how we should treat spirits and with respect, like we would with somebody that would be standing right in front of us. But then we got into the discussion, she's not the first one, about, you know, people walk in and say, how'd you die? How'd you die? Or, you know, your dad, and then you'll get the spirit answering back on ITC or an EVP saying, no, you're dead. And then when they sit back and they think about it, and they've talked about, like, maybe we really are the dead people and they're the live ones. So I got to get to that.
Yeah, I've heard them say to me that we're the ghosts in their world. So it never, you just don't ever know. I was going to talk about something. I was going to say something else. Oh, dimensionally. There's nothing that turns me on, actually, than hearing Neil Tyson deGrasse talk about dimensional things. I love him, the scientist.
You know, Joe has had him on his show, right?
I love science. And
Did you hear me?
What'd you say?
The owner of our network has had Neil deGrasse Tyson on his show, I think a couple times.
That kid's great. And he's got an open mind too, but he makes a lot of sense. Well, he had said something one day I watched, which will make perfect sense about dimensions and seeing stuff. An ant sees two-dimensionally. Okay. Ants they're not three-dimensional creatures. They are two-dimensional creatures. They see everything in two dimensions. So if you put an ant on if you had took a wooden table and covered it with pieces of paper all over it, and if the ant saw it, he would, the ant could perceive the paper there that was on a table. But if you picked up a piece of paper and you stacked it, so like we would see it stacked because we can see height, width, and length. To the ant, it just disappears in thin air because he can't perceive that dimension. And I think that's how it is with people. I think some people, for some reason, at times perceive a dimension that others can't. And that's why I think maybe we think it's a ghost, or maybe the ghost is seeing us like that too. I don't know. I just think it's so, I love that subject.
Well, okay. So Jane, we'll get back to that because we were talking about spontaneous combustion.
Oh, combustion.
She mentioned that monks that combusted. I don't know a lot about that topic, so we'll have to maybe look a little bit more, unless you, Dave, do, because I was going to.
I heard about the monks combusting. I tell you, I would not be surprised if a monk or two has combusted.
I'm not surprised either. No.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. There's a lot of people on this earth. If they combusted, I'd be like, huh. That would be my answer. Oh,
we always called them a hothead. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
We said liar, liar, pants on fire.
Yeah. So Leah said, are just like different timelines. Well, okay, so the interesting thing, and I don't know what it was, but it just finally resonated with me. And I've been one to say this. There is no time on the other side. The past, present, and future is happening at the same time. But Dave and I have also talked about this. And it was something I was watching a podcast about a year ago, and it all made sense to me when they say, like, when we talk about it being a past life, it's not really a past life, is it? And then I try to wrap my head around that, because what happens if you die in this lifetime? I guess you don't die in the other past lives, right? In future lives.
I guess it's time for a plug. If anybody's interested, I have a short form podcast called Mystics Do. Today, I just did that very video on time, the perception of time on the other side. And here,
I did not know that either.
I just made it today. I just made it today. So if you guys want to go over there and listen to it, but basically, yeah, time is such a weird thing here. Timelines, and like Lorilei was saying about a past life, that's absolutely correct. But we have to think of, that's the only way we can perceive it.
As humans with our brains.
That's the only way. But I had talked about, there was a part in my near-death experience where when they were showing me the reasons why I had to come back, not only did they show me some of the lives where I literally stated, I'm sorry, I'll come back and do this again, but I can't do it. Literally was stating it. And they would put me into that body, and I would be so, and like here, when you have a memory, you're just kind of playing like a little video in your head. You see that memory. On the other side, if you're doing a memory, you literally slip into that time period because of the fact everything is happening at the same time. So you can slip into that time period. So
that kind of makes sense why, as mediums, sometimes we pick up people that are still alive. And I know I'm not the only medium. I've seen many that can, right? You can pick up people that are alive.
I'm like, I'd be saying this person described them and all this other stuff, and they're like, that person's alive. I'm like, well, something's talking to me, and I haven't figured it out either. I like a little bit of mystery. I'm okay with it. But
I think it's our higher self that comes through for whatever reason.
You know what, and that's my go-to on that as well. I'm talking to their higher self. I'm not literally talking to the person who's here. And for those who don't realize your higher self is, the sum of your total energy is not here at the same time. It's usually most people are like 30-40% of their energy is here. The rest of you is still someplace else. And that's hard to say. But if you can imagine like a human being all pixelated, and then it explodes and the pixels go everywhere, no matter where those pixels go and what they're doing, they're still part of the big pixel. So, and they just go back and give back the information. So that's pretty much what we're doing in a nutshell.
That's a good analogy. I like that analogy.
Yeah, it's the best way I've thought about it.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so why do you think all of these things that we've talked about tonight in the way of, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too, who's listening and would love to leave their thoughts here. Why do you guys think, and ladies, that Bigfoot comes here, for example, and we've talked about all these other, if zombies exist, or they might exist, or maybe they're fictional, or there could be all kinds of things like this, right? We get different creatures, whether it's a tulpa, no matter what it is. Do you think they come here for our experience, or do they come for their own experience for their souls, or why do you think it happens?
This is what I have deducted. They do come here for our experience. They also come here for them because they used to be here all the time. But I believe a lot of them who are coming in now is because the earth is supposed to start to be acclimated to things that we don't know about anymore. So that's one reason. Another reason is Bigfoot is very nature spirit based. They are all about nature. I believe when they come here, they are healing things on this planet and we don't know it. That's what I believe. I believe that I don't know what they're doing, because I see them as intelligent beings. I don't see them as an animal. So a lot of people think they're an animal, and I don't see them as that. I see them as smarter than us, or you can't really put knowledge on the line. But I believe that they are very primal, but they're very intelligent primal, and they're very protective of this earth. There is a lot of beings that are protective of this earth, and that's why I think Bigfoots come here. But in short, you're part of it. I think they're coming here. I don't know if it's more for us or more for them, but I do realize that they're being seen more and more. So maybe it is for our experience.
I don't know, because you could go around in circles like this. I'm going to read some of these comments here. So Leah Passmore says, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a great movie about time and what you guys are talking about. I'll have to check that out.
Goes through the response drain your energy.
And then Jane Walker says, Marianne, the Ghost Whisperer, says that earthbounds drain your energy and live off the energy of the living. They need to cross over. Once they have crossed, they don't harm you. She can make the light and cross them over, but only in person. She never charged. She can see them over the phone. She can see negative energy on you or curses and we people. Interesting.
That's cool that she's helping. I don't care what people believe in or nothing, as long as they're being of assistance to people. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Zachman says, I have to lean towards the idea that it's an experience for both humans and Bigfoot. That's kind of where I am, Zach.
I'm kind of leaning there too, Zach. But I think there's other reasons. But I think as far as the experience goes, what Lorilei was asking, I have to go with that too. It's kind of a mutual thing.
I'm going to add too, there's a guy, it's called How to Hunt or something. He's kind of a jerk. He's Canadian. He lives in BC. But he had the most interesting stories. Like people write in, no, are they true? I can't say they're true. He has started to show some pictures and videos he gets. But my whole point is, and he calls them Sabe now. He used to call them Sasquatch and Bigfoot. Now he labels them as Sabe, and people are using that word. I think it's a First Nations term for, it's either Bigfoot or a respectful term instead of cryptid. But he was talking about this little girl that wrote in, and she's now an adult, and she was living with her First Nations grandmother, I believe it was in the United States, and they were blueberry picking, and she didn't like where the blueberries were. She was only 4 or 5, and she was talking about her experience, how she went around the corner, and she saw these very tall, big, she thought they were hairy men. And she went over, and like I said, she was a small child. She was innocent, and she had the most incredible experience with them. Like they didn't communicate, but I think she gave them some of her berries, and she held her hand up to them, and they held their hand up to her. And when her grandmother came around and found her, because I guess she had always been warned not to go near, you know, the Bigfoot, I guess. And I guess the grandmother scurried them away and brought them into the house, brought them back. They weren't that far from the house. And then I guess this Bigfoot, as the story went, started coming closer to the house. And she would get really excited because she knew it was the same one, because he kept holding his hand up to show her, and nobody would believe her. So I think she's now inherited the property and she lives quite peacefully with them. But I thought it was kind of a beautiful story. Because
it is a beautiful story. That's a wonderful story. I wish people would think of stories more of that with Bigfoot.
That's why she was upset, because it was like most of the stories people write in, they're very respectful. That's why I don't mind this channel, and how they really do care, and some of the things that have happened or their experiences or things like that. But this was a beautiful story, and I'm so glad she shared it.
Have you watched Bigfoot Ontario?
No, I have not.
That's the guy. He's out of Canada. Well, obviously. And he has all
Bigfoot country. Well, Shannon and I do. Bigfoot.
He has all the recordings of Bigfoot. Like they talk on it. Have you seen that guy?
Well, I've listened to quite a few. I haven't necessarily listened.
It's quite interesting. I don't have an opinion. Although one came very close. He talks to them. He has it recorded. It's in the night. He talks to them.
Listen to him. Now that's kind of ringing a bell.
Yeah, he calls them Nepatia. He always goes Nepatia. And I can't remember his friend or his name, but and he'll say flower. It's just really cool to listen to, whether you believe it or not. But the one thing that got me, he had a video, I think it was him, and why you could hear that there was a film out, there was a camera pointing at his tent in the middle of the night, recording everything going on. You could hear him in his tent. He was having the conversation with this Bigfoot or whoever was there. What got me was there were so many orbs going through there, and I'm talking orbs. I mean, these were so orby, it was
Yeah, I've
disgusting.
seen that before
Yep.
too. Yeah.
And I thought, now that was cool. So that's why I think Bigfoot has a lot to do with paranormal and extraterrestrial and everything else. So
I know that many of the legends, again, from First Nations or Aboriginal people, especially over in North America, is they were here before we were, even before First Nations. That's part of, depending on what, I guess, I don't want to say tribe, but I don't know what other word to use. But there's many legend and lore from the elders that they were here long before humans were.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what I heard that too. Leah asked a really good question.
Well, let's read Jane's comment too. She says,
Jane's.
I have it highlighted. Yes, Bigfoot are very higher level spiritually than us. Okay, you want to read? Go ahead and read Leah's.
That's Jane. I totally agree with you. I bet Bigfoots are a way better medium than I could ever be. I mean, they are that connected. Leah Passmore said, oh, wait, no, that wasn't the
I'll
one.
read the next one. Well, I'll read this one. She said, Missing 411 has a few clips of Bigfoots communicating. Super interesting. And this is, sorry, I thought that was, and then this showed up for me. So go ahead, you read it.
The same one, the men were hunting, heard the Bigfoots, also seen rods in the forest. Can you guys elaborate on the rods? I don't have tons of information on the rods. I have seen them. I have seen them and they almost looked like they had wings because they were mistaken for bugs and they're not.
Oh, but the light?
They're rods. They're not orbs, but they're in a rod.
No, but it's light. I wasn't sure what she was referring to, but as soon as oh yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are absolutely, those are, you can't, in a room without a camera, like inside, there's no way you can debunk those things. They're real. I believe from what I know and put together, there is a race, there's some elementals and they would be considered the salamanders. You would call them, they're called salamander. They're not like salamanders, the lizard, but the salamanders have to do with the element of fire, and that element of fire is the element that these elementals are in charge of. I guess you could put it that way. I believe rods are elementals, like the orbs, like orbs are of human spirits. I believe rods are of elemental spirits.
Okay, so what I'm getting from spirit.
That's just my deduction. It's not, you know.
Okay, what I'm getting from spirit, I know what you're talking about. And I do believe as well, it's an elemental. And this is going to sound crazy, but I just got this from spirit, having to do with wind as well. Wind, light, fire, the fae, just depending on what color. Because the other thing that I've been seeing to add to this, because I don't have a lot of information, I will look some up though. We can talk, and I know Dave probably will too. We can talk more about it next week.
Yeah.
But, what I've been seeing a lot more of, have you guys ever heard of the Irish legend, the Will o' the Wisps, I think they're called, and they're the lights.
I can't remember.
I've been seeing tons of videos of people capturing this in the woods. And is it the fae? I keep almost hearing from spirit, almost like a nature flower elemental type thing, but I don't know what the intention is. I feel more mischievous, like not evil, but why are we seeing it? It's usually blue, and it's, you know what it reminds me of? That
blue as well. I saw them blue as well.
It reminds me of that Disney movie when it was oh God, Merida, her name is it Brave back in the, she had the long red hair and she was a really good archer. It was a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, it's called Brave. It's based on Irish culture, and she gets led to the witch's castle, speaking of old evil witch, by the Will o' the Wisps. And you've seen them too, Dave, because like they're getting caught on camera.
Oh yeah, I believe the orbs, I mean the rods aren't. Another thing too is I did, plus on my podcast Mystics too, I hate to plug it again, I did a long thing on elementals and fairies. I described all the, like the directions, north, south, east, and west all have consciousness, that all have something like that. But a lot of times these orbs and all that are, to me, almost like guides for animals, like spirit guides for animals and plants. Because this sounds really weird and people will think I'm freaky, but plants have spirit guides. They have a guide. They're not guiding them through a life, but they have watchers who watch over them, just like our animals have their own set of spirit guides as well. And a lot of spirit guides for animals are the Fae after they've left this lifetime, I guess. But the rods, I still think to me, rods are way more mysterious than even orbs are.
Well, like I said, there's the rods, and why are they occurring when Bigfoot is around? And like I said, this has just been over the last 6 months. I'd love to hear if anybody else has seen that on, in the chat. They look like this really beautiful glowing blue. It looks like it's in the earth, if you will. It's really dark, and then it's blue, and then one sort of fades, and then one lights up behind it, one fades, one lights, like it literally, if I ask spirit, that's what I get, but I don't get, like, what is it?
Does that seem playful to you? Every time I see
mischievous and playful,
they seem like they're playing. It just feels, rods have a very joyful feeling for me. Well, some orbs do too, but orbs sometimes kind of are neutral for me. But the rods, for some reason, it just looks like they're playing. Looks like they're having and they're not bugs. It looks like they're playing.
I'm not sure. Like I say, I know what she's talking about because I have seen them before. I haven't just seen them with Bigfoot either. Like, I haven't personally seen them. I'm talking about pictures or video or what have you. But I know what and I've seen some, especially pictures, they get captured in pictures and they're different colors. And
yeah, I can't say that I saw them like flying around my house here, but I am very aware of them. I don't know a lot about them. I wish I did. That might be something I need to look into a little bit more.
As I said, maybe we'll have to look. I'll make a note of that, and then we'll have to. Me
and Lorilei, and I'll tell you this: anybody listening out there thinks that we're crazy or anything else, which is fine. You can.
That's how we do this.
Your mind, if you open your mind and awareness to everything that's out there, there is so many possibilities that can really just enrich your life, because there's way more out there than what people can see with the human eye, and I think we should explore it. That's part of the reason we're here.
Well, I have no idea how. I'm not sure who you are there. If you're the same person, you might have put your name just after. Yeah, but you know, I always say, and this is why I've had completely different experiences than Dave and then everybody here, all of us have, right? But I always say, I don't know everything, but I have a firm belief that the truth will always reveal itself. Always, always, always. It may take a long time, but it will rise to the surface. So I always say to people when they, might message me privately, they say, you're going to think I'm crazy. And I always go, try me. And then when they tell me something, if I haven't heard of it before, I say, just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that was your experience. And, if I have some information, great. But if I don't, I'll try and find some, or, encourage them where they may want to look at it. But I think that eventually we find out what things are.
Eventually we do. When you go back, you remember everything at some point. But I think some stuff can be revealed here. But just keep looking for everything and keep talking about it. And like Lorilei said, the more you talk about it, the more you bring something into your experience, the more you're going to get it. I always tell people I've had so many mediums and stuff like me, when I start to do my work, to like, do you do your prayer protection and all that? I did years ago. I don't do any of that anymore. Not because I think I'm better than anybody else, but because at this point it's totally implied. I mean, I don't have any weird people coming through doing things. So,
well, you know what? I teach people when I'm on it, when I'm like mentoring people. So I was checking. I thought I had a message on our chat here. I was trying to check because some people keep coming up with Facebook user and I have no idea who they are. God, I forgot where I was going with that. What was I just saying before that, Dave?
Oh my God, I don't even know. I
was checking a bunch of things here and then I got lost. I got lost by Facebook users. So I was trying to see if they were on my Facebook here because a notification came up. I thought, oh, I'll have an idea who it is. It'll come back. So let's see. We'll just move on. I'll get back to it eventually. I know I will. So Facebook user, whoever you are, says, I was playing the chakra crystal singing bowls and I felt a nudge to pick up my phone, and here you both are. Wow, divine timing. Well, we're glad you're here. We're here every Thursday night.
You know what I think we should do, who's ever on here, it is 8:39. Should we do the predictable reading?
Sure. Let's try and pick somebody we haven't had before.
Yeah, and then we might remember where we were before, too.
Well, let's see. Does anybody have a question? If you've been picked before in the last week or two, maybe try and give someone else a chance if you could. So Facebook user who's playing the chakra bowls, if you're open to it, it's going across the bottom here. If you can't remember the address, but it's streamyard.com/Facebook. If you give them permission to use your picture, watch, it's probably Debbie. Debbie, if that's you, I feel really bad because she said she's had to do it about 30 times. But if it's not Debbie, go to streamyard.com/Facebook and you just give them permission to use your picture and your name will know who you are. So,
Leah says, I feel like this is a public meetup for my fellow weirdos.
Why do you think I'm wearing? What am I wearing again? What does it say here? Let's get spooky. Oh, it's Mary W. Hi, Mary W. If you can, then we'll know who you are. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
Well, actually, Mary, I'm going to grab Mary's name because I just got a ting on that. Okay. Mary W. We also do something called predictable reading, where it was unpredictable, but now it's predictable because here we are. So, Mary W. So, Mary, if you don't mind, just type yes real quick if it's okay. I'm sure it is, but
I'm sure it is.
Okay.
Oh, it's hot outside. Sure, rub it in, Zach. It's cold here today.
Zach, it was been like in the 80s for the last couple of days. Today it was 72, and now it's 56, and now I'm freaking freezing because now I'm used to warm weather.
I changed into this shirt. My arms are like the color of coffee from wearing a tank top outside. That's how hot it is, and today it's cold.
And I've got my hoodie on. There we go. Now I look like a monk. I hope I don't.
Mary says yes, it's okay.
Okay, and I look like a monk, so I hope I don't spontaneously combust. I'm hoping. Okay, I'm gonna take the monk off. There we go. All right. So Mary W. I'm just gonna pull a card for you, Mary W. Because they're not super chatty about you. Yeah, they are. Here he comes. Okay. Mary W. So the card that comes out is faraway places. Sometimes that suggests you're going on vacation someplace, but that's not where I'm going in this card at all. I'll just show it to you. All right. You have got so many choices around you. It is unbelievable. And I don't know why you're not taking them, because they said if you take any of these choices that are around you, it takes you to the right place. You really can't make a mistake. You're on a trajectory right now going towards the goal, and it's going to happen no matter what you pick, but you need to pick something. It's new horizons that are coming through. Although I'm going to go back to, I'm going also back to travel, because it's January, February, March, April, May, August, September 3rd. So September 3rd feels like right around there is a great place for travel. But in the meantime, I want to go back to what they said before. These things that you're wanting to do that you keep saying in your head, I'm not sure if I can do that, and I'm not sure if I want to do that, do it. Just do it. You're okay. You have a lot of backup. I hope that makes sense to you.
Mary says.
What did Mary say? Mary said, talking about traveling and renting out the house. Bingo. So, you're good. You're good. You're okay. Then you understand what they're saying. Good. Because I'm sorry. Like she put, to the audience who's coming through, she put it definitely does, because sometimes I just get an earful of words and they want me to just spew them out and I have no clue what I'm saying. So I don't. So you obviously got that. So yeah, you'll be okay. You need to do the travel. I don't know where September 3rd came in for you, but September was really strong. January, March, May, June, July, August, September. I think that would be 9-3, if that makes any sense. 9 and 3. Don't lose your pet.
You're going to have to read that, Dave, in case people hear it on the replay. They won't have a clue what you're talking about.
We almost lost our pet last weekend. I'm so sorry. Don't lose your pet. Pay attention. Listen, when stuff like that happens, you got to think of it this way. They happen for a reason. The reason is that maybe you're lacking in something that the pet needs. So sometimes, I'm not saying that's what it is, and you're very good with your pet. Pay attention.
Okay, do you want me to do something, or are you? I didn't tune into you, Mary, but what I did was I pulled cards for anybody who's listening. So if you feel like this resonates with you, go with it. Now, the first one, this guy kept coming out, jumping out. It says Fire Guardian. Kind of goes with the message you gave Mary a little bit. Ignite your passions. So what this means, okay, we're getting from spirit right now. I'm going to close my eyes to focus. So we're moving into spring. I know in the Southern hemisphere, you're moving into fall, but this is a time of change. Okay. This is a time, if you are feeling inspired by this seasonal change and you've been thinking about doing something, like David said for Mary, it's the same thing for you. Okay, if you're not sure what it is, you're wondering why you're here, you don't know what you should do, go back to childhood, visit yourself as a child if you can remember what brings you joy. I say this often, but I'm also getting this from spirit. So whenever we are in a state of joy, okay, we are able to manifest better, create better, connect with spirit because it raises our vibration. Like we talked about this at the beginning of the show. I pulled two cards. The second one, Trader, it says exchange energy to create abundance. So I already know what Spirit's going to say with this. Don't be a taker all the time and don't be a giver all the time. Okay, everything is meant to be in balance as a human being here. So if you've been hoping to manifest, and that doesn't necessarily mean money, maybe a new job, maybe a new house, maybe a new partner, a change of scenery, whatever that may be, remember, you are a creator. You are more powerful than you have ever thought or believed in yourself to be. Okay. So with everything is energy and you focus your energy on what you wish to create. All right. That's one of the things to do with it, but also focusing some positive energy on that. But also, I don't know why Spirit keeps saying this or who needs to hear this, but energy exchange. So it doesn't have to be money, but say somebody, we've all had people around us that just want to take, whether it's our time, whether it's our ear, they want to hear us. It's okay to create boundaries. It's okay to set limits, but it's also okay, remember, to show the universe that you are okay with receiving, especially again, and Spirit keeps repeating this, that you are a giver. Okay, I really believe this human beings are meant to live in balance. That's why we have these invisible energy centers through our body, right? We're meant to be grounded. We're also meant to be connected to source or to whatever your belief is, the universe, God, whatever you call it. I believe that that's when things just seem to go quite well for us, okay? Never mind the life lessons that we've got built in and what have you. So I hope that helps. Anything you want to add to that, Dave?
And she validated. No, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. When you were talking about, you put up a bunch of stuff about trying to wonder about the September 3rd, and you gave all those. I don't like to make stuff fit. I'm just going to tell you that September is very important that came through, and I don't know why the 3rd came in with it. So, but I don't always know these things, but just pay attention. It has a very wonderful energy around it. It does not have anything negative. So don't be worried about that at all. And Lorilei from the card too, we were talking, remember earlier, we were telling people you need to go out and, explore and do things and have a good time. And it's fun that card came out as well.
Try and move in the right direction here. Gotta go backwards. Yeah. So this is from the I love Kyle Gray. Yeah, it's for angels and ancestors. So yes, this was for you too as well. I believe that's Mary, but also for anybody else that's listening in as well, right, Dave? Even with your message.
And I got this one from Kyle Gray. I just bought this.
I got mine all three. I love. You know what, you guys? If you don't know who Kyle Gray is, I love him. He's from Scotland. I think he's very down to earth. He usually pulls a card from the angels. I've been starting to post it. A lot of people have been saying, holy cow, this really resonates, because the angels always know what we need, right?
They sure do. And I love Kyle Gray just because I love angels. So when I came across Kyle Gray and I listened to his stuff, and it's like, it vibes with me. So
you should plan a trip to Vegas September 3rd. I'll make it fit, Dave. That's what Shannon said.
Well, if you can make it fit, you make it fit. I mean, that's fine.
She's got that kind of sense of humor.
No, that's perfect. I love that.
She's a nurse with her. She's not back at work, but that's our wise crew that are at where she works usually, but she's not back at work yet. She said, she told me that right away at the beginning. I'm not back at work. So what else are we going to talk about, Dave? We got a few more minutes here. Not much, but
we got a couple minutes, and we got to start spouting out our stuff. You guys, if you want to, just letting you know, anybody who's watching today, please either instant message us because we feel you need a reading. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It was a joke. Message us and let us know, or write to us. You can write to me at david@thewhisperdream.com or Lorilei, and let us know if there's any topics you would like us to tackle before our show. We love, we can't wait for the day where we just have tons and tons of people up here just asking all kinds of things, because we like, if we know it, we'll talk about it. And if we don't know it, we will do research ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like I always said, like we can't just be like spiritual. We can't stop being who we are, but right, we're called that thing at the foot of the bed, which means if you got questions about the unknown is what we're saying. So it doesn't always have to be spooky, ooky, could be angels, could be anything you can think of. As my dog climbs in here, never fails to say hello. Facebook, thank you so much, both of you. I was followed spirit and I was led here. Well, thank you for being here.
We're not actually leaving now. We're going to say goodbye. So you guys don't have to say goodnight yet.
What is with my dog? And Dave locks out his kitten, but he likes to come in there too.
Good night. Thank you so much, Manuel. Thank you so much for watching, and love and light right back at you, my friend. If you would ever like to get a hold of me or find out more about me or book a reading, you can go to theywhispertome.com. It's the only place you can get a reading from me. I never DM people. You can, if you need to write to me, it's david@theywhispertome.com. I have a YouTube channel called The Spirit Experience, TikTok, of course, and Instagram. You can find all those under @Medium David Hanzel. And back to you, Lorilei.
And back to me. So I will be back. What I do want to wish all my fellow Canadians out there, happy May long weekend this weekend. I didn't book a guest Monday night yet. If not, it's going to be little old me hanging out with you guys because it is the long weekend here. And I know that our U.S. American friends have Memorial Day weekend the weekend afterwards. So I will be back on Monday night with the Angel Rock, which is every Monday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So like I said, you may very well have just little old me to hang out. We can talk about whatever you want. And Sandra says she's making chocolate chip, no bake cookies. Wish you were here. I wish I was there too.
Cookies. I've got cookies, but I gotta go to bed in an hour. So no.
Well, I was gonna say too, guys, stay tuned because the Outer Realm's coming up with the amazing Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Their show is Wednesdays and Thursday nights here. And if you guys like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends and family about us because we have all kinds of new hosts on the network. We've got new shows, and we've got our regular shows that we've always had for you. There's something for everybody here. Also, if you ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. You want to book a show, book a reading. You can tell Dave and I are tired tonight. If you want to book a reading or you, I do mentoring. I also do energy healing. And I don't think I have any podcasts coming up. I have 2 groups on Facebook. Thank you very much for scratching me. I have the Paranormal University for all things paranormal and the Angel Rocker Tribe for kind of the spiritual things we talked about. And Shannon says, bring Dave on as a guest, Laura. You're both awesome. Well, thank you. But Dave's got to get up. Well, I'm up early. I don't know what he usually does readings and stuff. Don't you on Monday nights?
Yeah. Monday nights I read.
Yeah, he used to be a little more flexible, but now that I'm tying him up with everything else, but that
Yeah,
was so
pretty soon I'll be down to a one-job guy, whenever, because they're done with my hand now, so.
Oh, so what is with you guys? There has to be spirit here. There has to be. Like everybody, the zoo is in here running around. So Zach says, what the heck? I wish I had a 3-day weekend. Monday is your birthday. Well, happy birthday, Zach.
Happy birthday, Zach.
Well, if you're around, you can come hang out with me and have fun.
If you're at a party this weekend, don't get drunk and run into a zombie.
Yes, yes. Zombie spray, zombie proof, guys. You know what? We have so much fun with you guys. Like Dave said, if you ever have any ideas, I'm also on all social media too. I should tell you that always. Yeah, I think everywhere, like LinkedIn, even Snapchat, TikTok, though I'm not active. Dave has a big TikTok over there. And he does answer questions, right, Dave? Like if people
have questions and we can't answer them here, go to my TikTok.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Fine. And so God knows what we're going to be talking about next week, but we'll probably come up with it at the same time.
Whatever it is, it'll be crazy, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. So I guess we should sign off here, eh, Dave?
Okay, yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching. And I you know what? We're so tired. I know we're not going to get that right. We'll try it if you want.
Yeah, want to try it?
3, 2, 1.
What's at the foot of your bed?
Your bed.
We're way behind.
We might have had it.
Night, guys. Thanks for being here. And if you're listening on the replay, we love you. And we'll see you next week. Okay. Have a good one, guys. Stay safe.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Love you, night.